What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Volleyball Source Podcast. My name is Everett, and today we have a very, very special guest joining us literally from the other side of the world. I'm waking up, she's going to bed. It's the one, the only Mrs. Shainah Joseph. Shainah, what's going on? Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm happy you reached out and I'm here talking to you.
Me too. I was doing a live stream on my Twitch channel, and we were just going. This was a couple weeks ago, like literally when I first messaged you to do this interview. I was doing a live stream on my Twitch channel, and was talking about the V League, and I was just like, I can never read the stats. And a buddy of mine sent me a way to be able to use Google Translator properly, basically, and I was like, oh, finally, I was able to see how well you were doing from something other than volley trails. And at that point, I was like, man, I haven't talked to Shainah in a while. Let's see. And I'm pretty sure I did it on the stream. I messaged you on the stream live, and I was like, yo, let's get an interview with Shainah, because first of all, it's been a long time since I've seen you. It's been a long time since I've seen kind of anyone in volleyball because of the world situation right now. And it seemed to me like you're
Right.
having not only a good season in Japan, but a lot of fun. So let's catch up, see how things are going, and you know get a little bit insight of what volleyball is like on the other side of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, with COVID, everything is kind of crazy. And just getting here was a little crazy. I was supposed to be in Japan August 3rd, and I ended up coming October 1st. In Japan, COVID is very different than the rest of the world. Life is pretty normal here. We wear masks all the time, like walking on the street, going on the train, any public place. But especially walking on the streets, like people wear masks all the time. Even us as a team, we wear masks. If we're not working out or playing volleyball, we have a mask on, which makes it like pretty safe. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. But other than that, like we have a pretty normal life here. Um, for sure, we make sure that we're not going to, we're not shopping, we're not going to Shibuya and hanging out with all those crowds. Um, and we have a PCR test once a month, and we have
What's
to log
PCR?
in like our PCR is the COVID test, like with the nose
Oh,
thing.
so you're only doing it once a
Um,
month.
yeah, we do it once a month,
Oh,
and we have to log in our temperatures every morning,
okay.
and talk about our conditions. There's like a little questionnaire we have to do every day. So that's how they're kind of controlling it. So yeah, that's like COVID in the sense, but Japan is amazing. It's different. I love the culture. I've loved the culture for a very long time. So I was really excited coming to Japan and being able to play here. And yeah, like it's just like a really cool experience.
Now, you guys, it seems to me like this isn't the first time you've played in Asia. You've played not last season, but the season before you were in the Philippines, and before that you were in Taiwan. So it seems to me that you really love playing in those Asian countries and playing kind of on that side of the world. Why is that?
Um, I love Asia. Like I really fell in love with it because my first contract I played in Bulgaria, and that's a very interesting culture, and and very
quite
different than
quite
the
the
rest of Europe.
opposite. Quite the opposite from Asia too. Like you're going from
Yeah,
like when you're talking about like if you're talking about the stereotypes just in general of like Bulgaria versus Asia, very different worlds.
very different.
And not
Exactly.
to mention you stepped off, like you went straight from Florida, because if I remember correctly, like you were playing in the Final Four, right? You're on ESPN and Cart is praising you playing for Florida in the Final Four, and then a month later you're playing in Champions League in Bulgaria.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really like a quick turnaround, and like I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to Europe. Like that's cool. No, Bulgaria is shouldn't be a part of Europe. I'm not like giving a crap to Bulgaria, but it's definitely very different.
Oh, I know a few Bulgarians, and they will fully tell you that going to like the old Eastern Bloc part of Europe is a very different experience than going to what we as North Americans consider Europe. But I mean, like some,
Yeah, exactly.
but I mean, some people thrive there. So it's like it's all preference.
Yeah, and for sure. And the team that I played on, Jen Cross played on that same team for 2 seasons, I
Mhm.
think, after me. So, and she loved it, and I did not love it. So, quickly after that, like I went to Asia, and I fell in love with it like right away. And I don't want to leave Asia. Like the people, like most
Mm.
of all, is like the people they're so good, they're so sweet, they're very welcoming. They want to teach me about their culture, and they want to know about my culture too. And the like level of professionalism throughout the league, and the gear that we get, like the Asian swag is just very different.
Do you
And
do you
I
have
just have
do you have a piece of Asian swag around with you? Like you have your tracksuit, like if you're gonna talk about the swag, at least show us some of the swag. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
I'm actually not even in my house. Like I'm at one of my teammates. Yeah, today's our off day, and I
okay,
went to the gym to work out. And she's like, "Hey, I'm making chicken wings." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm coming over." Like,
nice. I love it.
so
Fair enough. Okay, okay.
yeah,
We'll
you can
give
get me
you
anywhere with.
a pass with it for this time.
But yeah, no. So yeah, Asia is just like super. It's super cool. It's super laid back too, but it's just a lot. I think it's a very nice balance between the volleyball, like the intensity of the work,
Mhm.
and as playing in the States, you only really play like when you're a really good hitter, you play few rotations, and that was a part in my game that I had to develop my defense. I had to
Mhm.
develop that, my ball control. And in Asia, that's where it's at. That's where you're going to have teams with the best defense and ball control. So, me staying in this kind of environment, I think it's growing the weaknesses in my games, I would say. And also, even blocking, like, yeah, I'm not going up against big hitters,
But
but
the
I
offense is
honestly
way
think,
faster, I'm guessing, than what you'd be seeing in Europe or elsewhere, right? Like I'm sure that the complexity of the offense and your ability to read has gotten so much better since playing, especially playing in the V League.
yeah, absolutely. And like these hitters, they're very skilled, like they might not jump out of the gym, but they can definitely like tool your block on demand, and they run so many combos, and like it's really a different style of volleyball than what I'm used to. So it's really cool to be playing in this kind of environment.
What's the fan experience like? Because optically from North America, it seems to me like volleyball is maybe one of the biggest sports in Japan, especially since haiku is such a popular anime and manga. It seems to me like the popularity of volleyball and maybe your celebrity status within as a volleyball player in Japan is potentially higher in Japan than somewhere elsewhere.
Yeah, for sure. But I also have to say I can't totally relate to that just yet because of COVID. All
True.
most of our games all our team games are closed to public. But a lot of our games are open to the public. But I've had a lot of fans DMing me on Instagram, people drawing me in cartoons. I've gotten a couple presents from fans, or when I'm walking around, like to the convenience store, like a 7-Eleven,
Hmm.
like the people like at the kiosk are like, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" So um, either they think I'm a basketball player or they know me from volleyball.
That's that's fair. It's really too bad that you're not able to experience those fans because just from seeing it on videos and live streams over the years, it looks like they're rabid and very knowledgeable volleyball fans. So it'd be awesome for you to be able to get to experience that. Now, you guys, the playoffs just started. You had your first playoff game this past weekend. Is that true?
We actually are done playoffs.
You're done
And a
playoffs.
regular Yeah, we're done playoffs. Regular season is over. We're actually currently playing in the V Cup, which was a tournament created last year, so that the players that aren't playing on the national team, because now all the national team players they've started training. Um,
Oh,
yeah, and
okay.
then now, yeah, so V Cup is for like the rest of the players so that they can kind of extend season and give more playing time and more money, more, more volleyball, pretty much.
All right, fair enough.
So my team, we finished fifth,
That's the
and
that's
it
the
was we kind of
AGO-medics. Sorry, I didn't state that for the
yeah,
fans before. The AGO-medics.
IGAO, yeah, IGAO
Ageo
medic, yeah,
makes sense. I'm pronouncing it like it's the friggin' Art Gallery of Ontario down the street. Ageo. It's spelled AGEO. So Ageo is much better.
yeah. So yeah, our team, we finished fifth. It was kind of we kind of got screwed over with COVID, because on the our second half of the season we had a whole month off for the winter. Second half season started in January, and with COVID, like the new strand kind of came out. A lot of one of the teams got COVID and they were out for 2 weeks and a half, quarantined, and then a lot of games were canceled. So the league decided to kind of change the ranking format, and they did by average. So it's an average of how many games we've won and lost. So we've been undefeated since January, and we couldn't make it in the final four, because at the beginning of our season, we like our coach came like the second game, like the second weekend of our game. So we were kind of still figuring things out. And then we figured it out. Like, I think in November, we lost maybe 1 or 2 games since November. So it's really crappy. We got like the shorthand stick.
Yeah, wow, that's brutal. That seems to be a common story a lot. Like you're seeing a lot of teams that were really struggling at the beginning of the season and starting to figure it out. Or there's a bunch of teams that were like undefeated at the beginning of the season. It's like, whoa, what are they doing? Like they're going on a run, and all of the better teams started getting their players back, and they started jumping down. So that's very interesting that there's kind of like a second league, so that you guys continue playing, and the national team can start training. I mean, I'm guessing they are hosting the Olympics, so like all eyes are on those athletes.
Yeah, exactly. So they're doing a really good job about selecting their players and making sure their players have plenty of time to get ready for the Olympics and even VNL, because Japan's in VNL too.
Absolutely. Speaking of VNL, you were a part of the Team Canada team that back in 2019 helped qualify Team Canada for the VNL. Obviously, it must have been like, first of all, let's go back to 2019 before we even talk about how frustrating last year must have been, and looking forward. Looking back to 2019, there was like you guys had a different vibe going on that team. Like it was a different vibe with that group of girls. I got to experience a little bit in Montreal, but then watching you guys play at the Challenger Cup, like it seemed like you guys were at a different level. Could you feel that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of that had to do that we've been a lot through. We've been a lot together, and the change from Marcello to Tom Black was like very flawless in a way, because everybody was super excited to have a coach like Tom Black come in and help turn around the program and help, and he had like similar values to us. So it was very like such a nice change and refreshing change, and everybody was super. It brought us closer. The summers that we went through with Marcello, it brought us closer as a team. So Tom, all he had to do was kind of teach us the volleyball, and we were all ready to work. Like we've been working hard, so it was really nice to see that the hard work and a new coach and a new staff to support us, and all that work was transcending into like success and wins, and that's exactly what we were hoping for. So we know we're good. We have a program that is supporting us to be good and trying to give us all the resources that we can in order to be successful. So it was just like a really nice environment and nice feel for us, that we haven't had in a very long time.
That's fair. I mean, the change, as you said, the change from Marcello to Tom Black was a huge difference. And I've talked about this not on air but off air with some other members of the women's national team, and I almost feel like if there was no Marcello in the middle, Tom Black wouldn't have been able to have the effect that he did. if it wasn't for the way that Marcello came in and was very much a taskmaster, like master with you guys, and you know, uh, showed maybe made it seem like volleyball was only played one way and you had to do it his way. Then once Tom Black came in, it was kind of just a breath of fresh air, and you guys were able to take all of that discipline and hard work that Marcello instilled and meld it with the volleyball systems and the teachings of volleyball that Tom Black brought. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely fair. And like as much as Marcello and us, we all share different views on many things. I think this guy knows about volleyball, and he's smart, and he has this whole plan and system in his head that not necessary, and he viewed the game differently than anybody could have seen. So like a lot of us were on the outside, so having Tom Black come in and actually teach us how to see volleyball in the way that a head coach at a high level sees volleyball was very nice. And it's like we're all learning and we're all getting more educated. It's like we're doing things, but some of us didn't know why we were doing it. We're just doing it because that's what we were told to do it. So when we're taught why and how to do it, then it's like it comes more naturally. And our group, we weren't afraid to work, like we did the work with Marcello. We worked hard, our bodies went through it. So for me, I see it as I survived Marcello, I can survive anything. So I think that's how like you're saying, Tom Black came in at the right time.
Yeah, that he did. It was, especially in that run where you guys didn't lose a match between the Norsika Challenger Cup and then the FIVB Challenger Cup. It was massive. And I remember talking to Jen Cross about this, and apparently, she was in that game against Croatia. Like, she was on the bench looking at Kyla and being like, we are going to the Olympics. And I mean, there was a small period of time there right before Autumn Bailey went down with her injury that it seemed like, no one could touch you guys, and that nothing could do you guys, like you guys could do no wrong. Can I ask you, like, why do you think the injury to Autumn affected you guys so much? Because absolutely, like, Autumn Bailey was a massive part of that team, and she was a huge piece on the left side. But it seems like after that point in the few, the Olympic qualifiers and a few of the other events, that there wasn't the same, like, confidence and, like, free spirit that you guys had previously in the summer.
Well, I think Autumn Bailey is, like she's a big part on our team, just volleyball wise. But I think as a human too, like she's an amazing human to be around. And this girl, she's a volleyball player. Like if there's something that she's really good at and she's skilled, talented, eat, sleep, breathe, it's volleyball. So I think it was just very devastating to see that somebody who is eat sleep volleyball go down. And but I think, well, from my experience, I think her injury affected different people like differently. And some people were, like you said, a little bit more devastated, maybe had lost confidence. But for me, like I saw it more as it's an opportunity for us to do this for her and with her. And like her dream and her goals that she was working towards, like we're all putting our bodies on the line, and at any moment we can all suffer an injury and it ends there. But it gave us something greater to play for, and that's how I see it. So I wouldn't necessarily say like it like it made us lose confidence. But definitely I think our team, we're playing really well. And after her injury, yeah, like we had to figure things out. But that's the whole like amazing part about volleyball. Any good team can go down against a really weak team at any point of the season. So yeah, so I think that's how Autumn Bailey kind of affected her getting injured affected us a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been her rehab though has been very impressive to watch on Instagram. I think I think if there's anyone who's benefited from a year off of COVID, it's Autumn Bailey, and I know that it might be frustrating for her because it's been a long time since she, hit a ball. But um, I'm excited to see what she can kind of bring to the table. Now, moving forward to this year. We don't really need to talk about last year because I'm sure it was. I mean, we can if you want to. I'm sure it was frustrating. I'm sure it was a hard thing to go through. But at the same time, was it kind of nice to have a summer off to yourself?
Honestly, I was loving 2020 was actually pretty amazing for me. Maybe even Max too. Like, after I was in the Philippines and I was probably quarantined like for 2 weeks with Cat Bell. And, it was just kind of being in university all over again. So that was really fun. And then I left her and I went straight to Montreal and I was with Max. And also like Claire Vercheval, who
Mhm.
plays for McGill. I was with them all summer, it was just like a great time. Like it was nice to have a break of like from volleyball, especially indoor. But also, I hadn't been home for that long since I think since I graduated high school. I haven't been home for like more than 2 weeks. So for me,
Wow.
being home for 5, 6 months was absolutely amazing. I spent like my family, they were really strict about, COVID and stuff at first. So I didn't get to see them much. So I was with Max and her family, and we were in Juliet, like living our best life. Like we ate, sleep, we trained, we had a gym, we had like yards, so we played volleyball. We did like a whole bunch of outdoor activities every day. And then after that, like I met my girlfriend, so I was with her like all summer, like just exploring, going camping, doing stuff. I was playing beach volleyball, which was not a sport I would say I loved. Like I did it because it was like, okay, like let's play beach volleyball because it's the only thing I can do. But then I really grew to loving beach volleyball. And for the first time, like Vero Laplante, she
Who's
taught
who's an,
me
who,
like
who's
this.
an absolute legend, by the way. Ferro Laplante is one of
Oh yeah.
those like underrated people in Canadian volleyball that make everything work. Like Ferro
Yeah.
Laplante.
And she knows everything. Like she
Yeah.
knows like she knows everything about volleyball. She knows everyone, and
The amount of
yeah, like
times that
she's
I've been at an event elsewhere, like in the States, and all of a sudden be like, I'll be like walking around, like, hey, Everett, and I'll turn around and Vero is standing there and she's waving at me. I'll be like, where did you come from? She just shows up at volleyball events all the time, and I love it.
yeah, exactly. So she like I would have to say she started me off on my beach volleyball career. She was my manager this summer. She got me signed up for beach volleyball tournaments. She got me like partners. Like she was setting up practices. Then like we did a couple events with Team Quebec, and then she was literally like, "Hey, Shy, show up this time, this time." I'm like, "Okay, I'll be there." Like she was my manager this summer, so she got me going. She kept me in shape. And that was like so amazing that she was willing to do that because I knew Vero like before, like I knew Vero, but I wouldn't say I knew her. Like we hung out and I would call her like a friend. Now she's like family now, so that's a really cool thing that I got to experience this summer. So I had a great time. Like saw my family, hung out. I
Uh,
can't complain about COVID.
like honestly, this is something that I've thought about a lot of how insane the professional volleyball to national team schedule, like volleyball schedule, is, and that you go from your leagues like straight to the national team, straight for Nations League, and you've got different NORCECA events and FIVB events, and then you run that, and then like if you're at the World Championships or something like that, you're literally playing, like you play with the national team, and you go from that to your club team, and then you start it
Yeah,
all over again. Like you just said, you graduated like when were you in the Final Four? Was that 17, 16,
2017. Yeah,
2017? Yeah, and like we said, like you went straight to Bulgaria, so it just
it
seems
never
like
stops.
it never stops. Like, is that something like when you watch the NBA, when you watch any other sport, you talk, hear about like load management. Like there is no load management in volleyball. Like it's crazy. Like even the Athletes Unlimited League that is going on here in the States, those girls just had to play 3 games in a row. Imagine like NBA guys or NHL guys having to play 3 matches in a row. That'd be insanity. It would never happen.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just, it's crazy because in high school, we used to play like, I don't know, like 10 games a day. Like I don't remember, like I'm like I can't even believe we did that in club. Like we'd play games and games and games and then go the next day, 3 days of like 6 games a day. You go to college, we play like Friday, we'll play Sunday, and then we'll play maybe on a Tuesday. Like, but maybe we'll play like Friday and then we'll play Tuesday, like super
Mm-hmm.
laid back. Like they gave us a whole day in between. um then you go national team, the worst tournament ever, Pan Am Cup. Okay, you play in 10 days, you play like 8 to 9 games back to back.
And not to
And
mention,
it's not like you're not playing like week to week.
no, and like also
You're playing like,
you're playing Brazil, you're playing USA, and you're probably playing in like Mexico and Puerto Rico, where like the amenities and like the support systems around you aren't necessarily what you expect when you're playing in the USA or Canada.
exactly. So it's crazy. And like in Japan, for example, we actually play Saturday Sundays, every Saturday Sunday. So it's actually a little bit more different than regular pro seasons, because I think like in the pros you might play like 4 games in a week, but you at least get like a day in between or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We play Saturday Sunday like back to back. So if you have a big match on Saturday, Sunday, you better bring your A game, because that team is looking to steal that win from you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm lucky, I'm young, so I'm not complaining so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned you're young. Looking forward to this international season. New coach for Team Canada. Obviously, things are going to be a little bit differently. We've seen some retirements come by. Jessie Niles has already announced her retirement. I'm sure we'll see maybe if it's not retirements, a few of the older members of the roster take a step back at least for this year. Where do you fit on that? Will you be a part of the national team in 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think
There's no
I'm planning
hesitation
on
there
playing volleyball.
whatsoever. Like you were like you were like, "Okay, stop asking this question because I already know what I have to say."
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess I've been playing on the national team for quite a while, but I feel like I'm just getting started, Like I feel like I graduated like last year, and I'm just, starting off. I'm like learning. I'm still learning. I'm learning so much about volleyball still, and I'm still improving, and there's so much room for my game to improve. So yeah, I'm going to be around as long as my body is still okay. I'm planning on playing until I'm like 40, 41, 45. Like, let's see. But yeah, like I'm here for another however long Team Canada wants me. But they better watch out, because maybe you never know. Like I might play beach volleyball, like just to have a more laid back season.
I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind that. I think watching you on the beach would be a lot of fun. A little Shainah and Marie-Alex action there. Like
Maybe not, because we played in a beach tournament together, and we've concluded that maybe playing together is not the best combo.
I actually, I actually feel that. Like I feel like in a lot of ways, you and Marie-Alex are best friends, but in a partnership between the two of you would never work.
Yeah, it wouldn't work, because I think we're both net players. You know what I mean? And
You're both offensive focused. You're both like, give me ball, I'll hit it.
yeah, exactly. Maybe like down the road when I've refined my skills in the back row, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, no. And honestly, like I think if I'm not playing volleyball, I love indoor. I love indoor so much. It's way more fun, I would say, than beach volleyball. Beach
Really?
volleyball is, yeah, like it's more fun. Like you can joke around more with your teammates. You can get a little crazy. But beach volleyball, I find that it's like it's fun, but you have to be focused. My brain is working. Like after a beach tournament, I'm exhausted. My brain is like coming out of my head. Like I'm just like, okay, I need to think about my shots. I need to breathe. Like you cannot hide in beach volleyball, you know? So yeah, I definitely think indoor is a little bit more fun just because I can relax a little bit on the court sometimes.
Yeah, okay, definitely. I don't think I've ever heard that take before, but I can see it. I understand it. Looking, talking a little bit about the national team. It seems to me like this year might be the best year ever for Canadian women playing professionally overseas. The success that you've been having, that Alexa's been having, Kira's been having. It seems like the Canadian women are having success like never before in not only pro leagues but big pro leagues. Like you yourself, that change from and Taiwan and Philippines is not the same as playing in the Japanese V League. As the same as you've got Kira who just led Rejov to a first place finish. Alexa has been absolutely on fire in the Italian league. Does seeing those results and those numbers come in from your teammates around the world, does that get you hyped up for a national team season?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody is putting in the work, you know. We haven't seen each other in a year. And in a year, like, you know, a lot has happened. And especially a year right after the Olympic qualifier, you know. So for me, I'm just looking forward to seeing like where is everybody at? Like in the Olympic qualifier, like one of the things I told a lot of the players, especially the younger players, I was like, you know, we need to remember this feeling because that's such a crappy feeling. And if we can remember this feeling and you can use it to give you hunger and to drive you in your training and in your games, I think we can grow so much individually as players, but also as a team. And to be seeing like everybody's doing super well, everybody is working on their game. Like I talk to Bree King all the time, and you know, she is juggling like the married life and being a professional athlete, and I think she's doing such a great job doing that. And after her game this weekend, well, yesterday, I was like, she's just on fire, and she's so young and has so much potential. So it's really exciting to see everybody putting in that work, and I can't wait for us to all get back together in April, May.
Now, obviously, things are going to be a little bit different with the national team due to the COVID situation. Unfortunately, Black and his staff won't be back. So Shannon Windsor will be taking over the roles. Now, I am not very. I've never spoken to Shannon, so I'm not very familiar with her. What are your thoughts on Shannon Windsor taking over the head coaching roles for the women's national team?
I love Shannon. Okay, like I think she's absolutely amazing. Um, I think it's really hilarious that she is the head coach because before, like, you know, she was my assistant coach. She was the coach for the B team, you know? So I would talk to her a lot. Like, I would complain to her, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
complain to her, talk shit. Like, I would, like, no filter, you know? I talk to Shannon, and she's that type of person too. No filter.
And that's like
So I would talk.
that's an important role to have. Like when I was a coach and like especially a younger coach on a staff, like that was my role too. Like you want to kind of have a better rapport with the athletes so that you can have just a tighter feel on like what's going on emotionally with the team.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, she knew everything about me, you know, personally on the court, like what's going on in my head, like things that I want to do, maybe even the color of my underwear, you know, like that's how much I had no
Okay,
filter with her.
I feel like that's just you having no filter with everyone, though. Let's be
Yeah,
honest
with
here.
everyone. But you know, like with like, you know, now that she's head coach, I'm like, oh, maybe there were certain things I didn't have to tell her. But on but really, like all honesty, I think it's awesome, and it's such a great opportunity for her, for our national team, and for us, for so many different reasons. I think the most obvious one is that she's a female coach, and I think that is just so awesome. You know, like we've been wanting it for a long time, but like trying to find the right fit is tough sometimes. Um, but the fact that she's been with us and she knows how everything kind of works, and you know, she's a really good coach. She's really, and she's tough, like maybe even more tough than Tom Black, you know. So
Wow.
I, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So I really think I played with her in one tournament, the Final Four tournament that happened in Colorado um, two
Yeah,
summers
yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
So yeah, so Tom had already gone back, and Shannon was the one who was the head coach in that tournament, and I think that was one of like it was very underrated, but it was probably one of Team Canada's best performances um, that summer because okay, like, other than qualifying for VNL, but I think just the vibe that we had, like we were chest pumping, we were hitting each other's chest, like we were shoving each other. We walked the court like we owned it, and um, I think it was a feel that we got like from Shannon. Like every single one of us, we were super confident. We were playing really good volleyball, and it was just a really cool environment to be a part of. You know, we played some of the top teams, and we were competing really well. So for me, like Shannon won me over as an athlete then, and for her to be head coach now, I'm just super excited to, she's intense. She's like a competitor. So and she cusses all the time, and I love that. Like, so for me, I feel like it will be a really good next step, to Tom Black for us. And she's still like, she learned a lot from Tom Black, so she's still gonna be using a lot of his concepts and theories. So it's not like a complete different change, but I think Team Canada is looking good.
Just to add to that roster, they just announced the coaching staff as well. Lauren Bertolacci, I'm not familiar with her. Vincenzo Malia, I am, as the two assistant coaches, and then the performance analyst will be Pablo Sanchez. Malia has been around you guys a little bit with the women's national team. He's also had a heavy hand in the U of T Varsity Blues, won a national championship with them. Have you worked with any of those staff members as well before?
No, I haven't. I've never worked with them, but I'm super excited. Like Shannon, I think she took the time to really think about, what Team Canada is lacking in, and I think we have the skills. Like, I think we're all very skilled players, but I think what we've been lacking in is knowing that we're skilled players and playing like we're skilled players and playing like we're not the Canadians, the nice Canadians, playing with more like a little bit of like grit and um
Straight up,
I'm trying to
but like I understand, like watching you guys from the Challenger tournament where you guys qualified for Nations League to um, Pan Am Cup and then Olympic qualifiers. Like after that, there was a very different vibe on the teams, and it seems like you guys had just lost that confidence. And like when you're looking, as we talked about a little bit earlier, there's so much success happening with the individually. There's so much success happening with the Canadian women. So if you guys can just kind of come together this summer, chest, bump each other's chests a bunch, just pump each other's tires. Like I think that's all that's missing, especially to competing against teams like Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, those direct rivals in the NORCECA region.
Yeah, absolutely. So and that's what, like, that's what we're looking forward to. So I think Shannon, she kind of got a staff that will help us in that area, not only volleyball wise, but also like, push us and get us that grittiness that we need, and have a little bit more attitude, a little
Yeah,
street ball in us.
I
Yeah.
think that was a huge change with the men's team. When the men's team over the past decade, like, there was a time when the men's team was not the confident men's team that we know and love today. Like, there was a time when, there was a time when I was coming to the program, we were losing to Puerto Rico. Like things were not pretty. Things were not pretty, and they had to develop that mentality. And I can definitely see the same things happening with the women's team, and I find it very exciting. You mentioned Bree King. She just finished 3 historic matches playing in the Athletes Unlimited League. First of all, have you tuned in? Have you watched any of it?
Yeah, I have. I've been watching Brie. I've been waking up early and watching my girl play.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people there,
Yeah,
I
I'm
know,
sure
like,
that. Yeah, I'm sure you're quite quite familiar with quite a few of them, just because of you having played in the NCAA.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm familiar with a lot of the players. One of my university best friend is actually there, playing in there, and there's a couple Gators. So for sure, like, and it's just exciting. Like it's exciting to see um, professional volleyball league happening in the U.S. right now. So it's close to home and it's American, and I can understand the commentators. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Is that something that's in the back of your mind? Like, I would want to go play. Maybe at the tail end of my career, I'd love to go play in the U.S.
Yeah, for sure. I think as a professional athlete, um, if we could be making the amount of money that we're making overseas and have the amount of fan base that we have overseas, and the importance of volleyball that we have overseas, if we can have that at home, like in the US or in Canada, I think a lot of us would stay and play close to home and have like accessibility to have our families to come and watch our game, or fly like a short flight and come watch our games, or to be in an environment that we know and that's not so foreign. um, I think any one of us would take up that opportunity if we could.
When did professional volleyball start becoming like a reality in your head for you? Um, because you've been playing volleyball for a long time. Our little story time here, Shine and ours, my careers is intrinsically linked. The first game that I ever coached, I was 16 years old. I coached against China, and what I'm pretty sure was her first ever volleyball game for Francoiste, way back a long time ago, in grade 7
Yeah.
volleyball. And like obviously back then, volleyball, like I'm sure professional volleyball wasn't exactly on your mind. When did that change? Like at what point did it change? Was it in like 18U when they started being like, we're going to play you on the left side because we want your passing to be better? So, like when was that point being like, Shainah Joseph can go play professional volleyball?
um I think like I really thought about it when like playing with the national team. Like I did junior national team when I was, I think, 17, my summer of being 17 years old. But then I think when I was in college and I would go play with the national team, um, in between, like playing in college ball, a lot of the girls were telling me about their experiences like overseas, like horror stories, or some were amazing stories. And a lot of the girls were like, you know what, Shy, I think you would have a lot of fun. Like you're such a fun person. Like you're always down to learn about stuff, and people love you when we travel. So I think you'd really like the professional athlete life. And I think like every summer going back to the national team and hearing the girls playing overseas and doing all this stuff, that's really when I have to say, oh, sorry.
We're good.
That's when I have to say, like, um, I really got the feel of, yeah, I want to go play. I want to go play overseas.
Yeah, so that was probably like you're like 20 some. That's pretty crazy. And it's like it's such a different reality now for Canadians, whether they're men or women, to play professional volleyball. Because before, I mean, there was a long time when many of our women's national team weren't getting contracts, many of our men's national team weren't getting contracts, and now you guys are almost accepted with open arms.
Yeah, and I have to say, in high school, I have a my I don't know if you can see me.
No.
Sorry, my best friend is trying to call me. um, Louise Graton was my coach in grade 8, and she's kind of been my life mentor. She's still like in my life. And
That's
her
a
brother,
very good mentor to have. Like
absolutely.
for all those who don't know, Louise Graton is the wife of Canadian volleyball legend and all-time great Paul Graton, who they're very involved with the Mavericks club, who Shainah and I are from back in Ottawa. So having Louise Graton, it seemed to me, looking at that club team and the club cohort that you had, it was very supportive, kind of moving all the way up.
Yeah, exactly. And like her brother, like Paul Graton, he always like would come to our practices and tell us stuff. And he was talking about like, yeah, like I played in Japan, and and I was like, wow, like that's what I want to do. Like I really like admired that, and I was like, man, like that's really cool. Like I didn't know people could do that. And I think my volleyball career was kind of like that the whole time. It was kind of just, okay, like I'm gonna play school ball. Okay, cool. Like I should play club ball. Okay, cool. I'll play club ball. Oh shoot, like I'm getting scholarships to go play in the States. Okay, I'll go play in the States. Like it kind of just worked that way.
Did you play any other sports before volleyball?
Yeah, absolutely. I played basketball, soccer, and I ran track and field.
Okay.
So like I did that year round. And then it was kind of like volleyball was, I actually did not like volleyball. So I was just doing volleyball because I wanted to make all the sports school teams, and I didn't make the team. And I was like kind of insulted because back then I was like, volleyball's not even a real sport, like, and I can't even make the team.
Volleyball's not even a
But
real sport.
yeah, because okay, in gym class, volleyball was the hardest sport to play because it's so technical that you can't just grab a bunch of people and play volleyball, like especially like younger kids. So yeah, it was the worst sport to play in like elementary.
I
So
mean,
I
like
hated it.
you've got like the terrible like $12 white balls that just hurt your arms as soon as you hit them, and they're either way too hard or way too soft, and there's no good ones in between.
Exactly. So yeah, volleyball was not my favorite sport.
I still remember showing up because Shainah went to Francoiste, which is a school in Ottawa that's known as a sports school. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming like you did sport études, which means that she would go to school for half of her day and they'd play her sport. So, coming from the other schools in Ottawa, having to play Francoiste, especially in volleyball, is always an issue. Um, so I remember my first time coaching. I'm in grade 10, and I'm coaching grade 7 girls volleyball, and we show up, and our first game of the day is against Colorado State. First of all, I know this is sports school, and second of all, on the other side, I've got Shainah Joseph and Fiona McGinty, who's another girl that went on to play, and both of you were monsters. Like I did not have a girl on my team that came any like even up to your shoulders, and I just remember like watching you hit balls in warm up, and we were still like just setting the ball over. Maybe we hit a down ball every once in a while. Pretty sure we lost to you guys in the finals that season. Like, we could
Yeah.
serve well, but other than that, we couldn't do anything. We had a couple of girls that played club, but still, like, walking into that gym and seeing a 12-year-old Bambi Shainah Joseph was something else.
And I honestly, like grade 7, I was really bad. Like I could jump high, I could hit the ball really hard, but sometimes I would whiff. Like sometimes I completely miss the ball.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, I told my girls to serve at you.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
because they were so scared of you. I mean, like we're talking about like 12, 13 year olds here, and I remember I think you hit one ball and it wasn't a bounce. Like we're talking about little kids here. You just hit it, and they were like so scared. And I was like, you know what, girls, we're gonna serve at her. Were they actually able to? Hell no.
No.
But did we have a good time with it? Absolutely. And it's crazy to think that like that little girl who didn't like playing volleyball is now, not only playing on the national team but playing overseas in Japan.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I had a lot of great people along my career just like point me in the right way. And like John Spack, he put like his sweat and tears into me for club. Like I had him all 4 years. So that guy, he's a legend. John Nguyen always like snippy snapping in my ear, like telling me what to do. And
I can still see him like comment on your stuff sometimes on Instagram and stuff
always,
like
he
that.
always texts me.
He's always got his two
Like he
cents, eh?
asked me, yeah, he asked me like, he's like, hey, Big Shot, like, can you get me some shoes and some cool Mizuno gear from Japan? And I'm like, what's your size? Like infant 2, infant 3. So like, I'm always like, going back and forth with John Nguyen. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then like Mary, like the other day, Mary and like Florida Volleyball, they sent me
I saw
a
that.
care package. Yeah, some gear, like some Florida gear. So that's really awesome that, the people along my way, like getting me here, they're, still supporting me and they're still a part of my life.
Yeah, that's crazy. I saw that care package that Florida sent you. I was like, damn, that's some nice gear over there. Like
Yeah, a lot of people commented too.
that's the, what was it like playing at Florida? Because like I feel like Florida playing for University of Florida might be the furthest possible thing from playing in Canada in terms of like culture and what it is like down there in Gainesville. Like what was it like to be a Gator for 4 years?
Honestly, like I have to say it's probably the best. It was the best time of my life. Like being first of all, you like University of Florida, it's a athlete school. Like you walk around and you
Tim
have
Tebow,
Olympians.
like
Yeah, like absolutely. You have Olympians, you have NFL players, like a lot of successful athletes, professional athletes come out of the University of Florida. So it's a really cool environment to be a part of. And the brand, like Florida Gators, like I'm in Taiwan. I have people coming up to my games with like Florida gear. In the Philippines, a lot of people, like one of the ESPN announcers, she's like, yeah, I've been watching you since you've been in college. Like, you know, Florida volleyball is, yeah, for sure it's a program. And a lot of programs are well known for different things, but Florida Gators, it's a brand, it's a way of life. And a lot of people around the world just love it. So it's really like, and you can feel it as soon as you walk into the campus and you're in that city, Gainesville, you feel that like, yeah, I'm in the swamp right now. So it's really cool. And, being, I don't know, like being a Gator, it like playing NCAA sports, it's outstanding. And especially when you play for a top 10 school in the NCAA, like I would tell any Canadian, yeah, go down to the States. You need to live that experience, even if it's just for a year. Like it's the best time of my life. And I don't think, even as a professional athlete, I don't think you get that kind of commitment and those kind of resources, like as an athlete. So it's amazing.
I think the resource is a huge part because I think even going from even like a youth sports setting where you've got therapists and you have trainers and you have, therapy rooms and all of these different things, that's not necessarily the case when you go to Europe. Like you might have a therapist and trainer on the bench for you to do some taping, but it's not like the NBA. It's not like Athletes Unlimited who they've got Norma Tech sitting all over the place for players to use. Like you're almost on your own in a lot of ways for your own like recovery and like body care.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're really treated well. Like, they're obviously investing in you, but they're taking care of their investment. So it's incredible the kind of opportunities you get to play in the States.
Now I don't know if I ever asked you this, but how did it feel to get praised by Karch the way you did in your final national championship? Like there's full on clips of Karch Karai just talking about how he loves your energy and loves you on the court. Like is that something you're aware of?
Honestly, no. Like I've heard it a few times. But no, I didn't know. And
Do you
honestly,
know who Karch is? Like did you know who Karch was?
yeah, I
Okay,
know who
okay,
Karsh
okay.
is. Like I had an interview with him like in the final four, and like walking into the room, he's like super serious. Like he's like, so asking us like personal questions. So when did you start playing volleyball? And I was like, yeah, like I hated it. He's like, you hated volleyball? And I was like, yeah. Like, like I saw Karch like, I was like being me, but I'm like, oh man, he's kind of scary, like he's intimidating. Um, but yeah, I didn't know he like talked about that about me that way. And I still haven't watched any of my games, like final four games. I haven't seen any of the commentating. So I really like I'm still hurting. I haven't recovered from it and I'm still hurting from it.
Mm.
So one day I will.
That's fair. You know what? One day when you choose to, we should sit down and we'll do a watch party of it. We'll get some people together. We'll get some popcorn. You know, sit on the couch. We'll watch the game. We'll film our reactions, and we'll go through. We'll
Absolutely.
go through. Maybe we'll bring in John Nguyen because I know he'll have a few good chirps to
Oh
to
yeah,
to throw your way. But
for sure.
maybe is Nations League happening? Is Women's Nations League happening in Ottawa again this year?
No, so the word is that Nation League is going to create a bubble.
Yes, actually, I did know that. Sorry, dang.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually like I'm really upset about that too.
I've completely
Um
forgot about that because man, imagine having you played. having you playing in Ottawa, like I know like the Mavericks club would have like blown that up. Like that would have been a thing to have Shainah Joseph come back and play for Team Canada in her hometown.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. So I'm hoping that next year we still qualify for VNL and that we have the opportunity to play back at home with fans.
With
Hopefully,
fans
yeah,
hopefully. Yeah, that would be a big thing because it's watching volleyball without fans is weird. Like, has it been weird for you playing without fans?
yeah, absolutely. There's some games it feels almost it's nice because it feels like a practice setting. It's more laid back, but it's definitely like you don't get that same kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Around the crowd. Like I feel like a crazy person, like jumping around and going crazy around my teammates, especially with the Japanese people. Like they're super, my team especially, we're super quiet and laid back. And sometimes I'm like, wow, and they look at me like I feel awkward for cheering, like I'm like, oh, sorry guys, it's too loud.
That's fair though. Are you do you know about your contract situation next year? Have you signed a contract for next year? You still waiting?
No, I haven't signed a contract for next year. There's so many things happening just because of COVID, and our head coach is also Brazilian, so
Mm.
he needs to see if he's staying like with our team. And like when I first came onto the team, and when he was looking at me, he really wanted to work with me and develop me as an athlete. So I'm kind of going with the flow and like his flow, and yeah, and hoping to stay in Japan, maybe go to South Korea. We don't know. I love volleyball and I want to play at the highest league, but I also want to travel. And you guys can tell because Max and I were just travel buds. So yeah, I'm going with the flow.
Touching on South Korea real quick. Did you hear about the scandal that's happening? I guess with a couple players of their national team.
Yeah, the twins that
Yeah.
were both. I was really surprised about that. I'm like, as a kid, you did a lot of stupid things, and to be reprimanded for that, I think it's amazing that they're reprimanding them, like, years after. But at the same time, I'm like,
It's a
it's a
little.
little too late. Like,
It's. I feel like it's a little too late and a little extreme. But on the flip side, like I'm kind of like, hey, you know what? Korea defeated Canada in the Olympic qualifiers. You had two players that are now deemed shouldn't have been eligible, maybe based off your own. So maybe Korea just should to give us their spot.
yeah, absolutely. And I think, if they're being taken out, I'm like, well, we should take it up to FIVB and talk about this whole situation because all their games should consider to be forfeited, maybe like
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, in 2016, we did have an entire Cuban team or a bunch of Cuban guys that were arrested for rape, and Cuba was still allowed to play in the Olympics. So
Yeah.
I think the FIVB is they've already made their stance on where they stand on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. FIVB is about money and volleyball entertainment,
Even
and I
then,
mean,
even then
it's a business.
yeah,
It's a business,
it, it
right?
it is a business. So, but you know what? We're in the business of good volleyball and watching you bounce balls. So you know what? I think China, I can't thank you enough for coming and taking the time to chat with us and hang out with us. I know it's getting pretty late there. It's about 11 p.m. in Japan. And yeah, is there anything that you wanna say, or anyone you want to say hi to before I let you go here?
Well, no, I just want to say thank you for reaching out. And Everett, like we go way back for sure.
Way back.
And I love when you hit me up to do anything for you, like anytime. And
Well,
yeah.
well, let's do some more. Hopefully, it's so frustrating. I wish I could say that I'd see you guys this summer, but I don't. Maybe hopefully I can make my way out to Vancouver at some point for some training. We'll see if they let me in the gym. I'll wear like 3 masks, bubble wrap myself if need be. Just let me come hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, sounds good. And okay, I'm actually gonna give a shout out to someone.
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
And she's gonna be so embarrassed about it. But I love you, Tara. That's it.
Oh, is that your girlfriend?
Yeah, it is.
Aw.
She's so embarrassed because, like, when you date a normie, let's say,
A normie.
they don't really know about the volleyball life. So she's like learning about it, and it's amazing. So yeah.
I also date a normie. My girlfriend is a dancer, and so she
Ooh, nice.
she knew absolutely nothing about volleyball before dating me. Like she didn't even know, like she knows nothing about sports, and then she starts dating me. So she's starting to catch along. It's good though. Like when we're watching volleyball, she has like a very
Different outlook.
a different outlook and a different eye for what we're watching. So sometimes she'll like point things out and being like, I don't like this because of this thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're a pleb and you don't know anything about it, so this is probably a good thing to
Yeah.
note. So it's interesting. I've always wanted to do like
Absolutely.
a series with her where like I sit down and we watch volleyball together, and I just record like the questions and stuff that she asks.
No, for sure. And even my girlfriend too, like before my games, I always talk to her, and I'm like, okay, Tara, give me the pregame talk, and she'll give me like this little pump up talk, and it's amazing because the things she says, it's like hilarious. But
Is she
it's
just like
super motivating.
she's just like picking stuff from movies, right? Like she's just going for every single cliche she can find.
Yeah, absolutely. But also some like good stuff, and like she knows how to like she knows my ticks and my buttons, so she'll push my buttons to like get me like hyped up. So it's perfect.
Awesome. Well, Shainah, I can't thank you enough to have come and joined us today. I guess not really best of luck because your season is done in Japan,
So
but
going.
still going. With the V Cup. So best of luck with the rest of that, and stay safe. Safe travels home, and can't wait to see you back here in Canada.
Yeah, thank you so much, Everett, and you too. Stay safe.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.
Good night, or I mean, good day.
Good. It's good morning. It's good morning here. Good night for you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Peace.
Okay. Peace. Bye.